Hello and welcome. Tonight, Lagos State House of Assembly impeaches Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, swears in its first female speaker, Mojisola Meranda. National Assembly threatens to remove JAMB from the federal government's 2025 budget grant. Oyo High Court grants bail to 3 suspects remanded over a food queue stampede. And officials say at least 24 people have died while dozens are missing in the aftermath of the Los Angeles wildfires.
On business, global oil prices surged past $81 amid new U.S. sanctions on Russia's oil industry.
On sports news tonight, Nigeria Football Federation unveils Eric Shell as new Super Eagles head coach.
And from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory Administration says vandals in Abuja will be charged to court for attempted murder or economic sabotage.
We begin tonight from the Lagos State House of Assembly, and you may call it a rude shock for Mr. Mudashiru Obasa as members of the state legislature impeached the speaker, accusing him of multiple statutory and financial infractions. Mr. Obasa served from June 2015 up till when he was impeached today, January the 13th, 2025, becoming the second largest serving speaker in Lagos. He was then subsequently replaced by his deputy, Mojisola Meranda. And Mrs. Meranda, who represents Apapa Constituency 1, was a former chief whip of the House and now makes history as the first female speaker, while Mr. Majid Fatai is now the deputy speaker of the House.
It's an emergency plenary session at the Lagos State House of Assembly, one that culminates in the impeachment of the Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa. Allegations against him are numerous, following a motion moved under the matter of urgent public importance by Femi Said. The former speaker faced accusations of a litany of infractions ranging from gross misconduct and poor leadership, which includes perpetual lateness to legislative sections and meetings, high-handedness and lack of regard of members, gross abuse of office and privileges, intimidation and oppression of members.
Always in the interest of sovereignty, integrity, solidarity, well-being.
Without wasting time, the former Deputy Speaker, Mojisola Meranda, takes the oath of office as the first female Speaker of the House, with Fatai Majid coming in as the new Deputy.
So help me God. Congratulations. Thank you.
The clerk of the House, Olalekan Onofeko, is not spared as the lawmakers suspend him for alleged financial misconduct.
Mr. Onofeko is suspended to pave way for investigation into the alleged financial impropriety that is of interest to this House. I so move.
The new Speaker, Mojisola Meranda, assures the House and Lagos residents of putting the people first in any decision taken.
Right Honorable Lasbat Mojisola Meranda, the Speaker of the 10th Assembly of Lagos State House of Assembly, promise to work with each and every one and operate an open door policy. Continue to work for our fellow Lagosians, Lagos residents, everybody, and also work with other 2 arms of government, the executive and the judiciary.
The lawmaker representing Epe Constituency 1 says change is the only constant thing in life and the people must embrace the new leadership of the House.
The Constitution made it clear that the House has the power to regulate its proceedings. So the members of the House felt they've had enough of the Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, and today we have unanimously agreed that Right Honorable Mojisola Meranda Lasbat become the new Speaker of the House. So it was a resolution concurred to by all all members of the parliament, and so be it. We cannot open our eyes and allow this parliament to dwindle. We hold the constituents a duty, and we hold Lagos State a duty of ensuring that the sanctity of the house and the integrity of this house is restored.
Mudashiru Obasa is the second longest serving Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, who served in that position between 2015 and 2025. Before his impeachment, he received the 2025 budget estimate presented by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in December last year. Mudashiru Obasa is now a floor member of the Lagos State House of Assembly.
Now, Honorable Obasa's impeachment might sound like an earth-shaking event, but not so for the prominent APC leadership in Lagos State. A chieftain of the party, Fuad Oki, says the current situation has been long coming. Speaking on our political program, Politics Today, Mr. Oki explains that in recent times, the former speaker has been at loggerheads with members.
Events of the last 3 weeks or thereabouts, it became obvious that the best thing that can happen to the state, and particularly the parliament, the legislature in Lagos, is for him to step aside and allow, a fresh infusion of leadership at the parliament. So I think this is something that's been expected the last 2-3 months, particularly the last 2 weeks. It became very obvious that there is need for a change in the leadership of the parliament in Lagos.
Still on the impeachment of the former Speaker of the Lagos House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, well, the event indeed didn't come as a surprise to many in the House. Well, in this next report, we run through the timelines of activities of the former Speaker while he held sway as the first among equals.
Becoming governor is secondary. It is something that I have not given a serious consideration. Nevertheless, that does not mean I am too young or lack experience to run, whereas those who have been before me are not better off.
That is the pronouncement that many believe may have contributed to his fallout with the powers that be in the Lagos political circle.
That I made payment to seek for blood relation in Ojo to validate my candidacy to run as governor. Of course, I have never denied the fact that I am Obasa.
But that's not all, as he was also accused of misappropriating a staggering sum of 17 billion naira on constructing the Lawmakers Building Gate and 200 million naira on organizing the 22nd Thanksgiving service for staff of the Assembly.
The fact that I'm related to my Obasa family in Ojo.
In March 2020, a civil society group petitioned the Economic and Financial Commission to investigate Mr. Obasa for unethical and illicit misappropriation of public funds. According to the group, the Obasa-led house had spent 2.4 billion naira within the space of 11 months to purchase cars for themselves. The petition alleged that Mr. Obasa, creating fictitious companies, received government contracts, thereby flouting the code of conduct for public officials. Also in October 2020, the EFCC invited Mr. Obasa for questioning. The commission obtained an order to freeze 3 bank accounts linked to him. As Speaker of the Lagos House of Assembly, he was also accused of flouting the COVID-19 protocols. When hundreds of APC supporters gathered in Agege for a rally which had Mr. Obasa in attendance, the crowd had not complied with any of the COVID-19 protocols despite the presidential directive, the COVID-19 health protection regulations, and the Lagos Infectious Diseases Emergency Prevention Regulations 2020 passed by Mr. Obasa himself, which banned the gathering of more than 50 persons. In what appears to be the endorsement of Mr. Obasa's impeachment, some of his colleagues say they've had enough of his leadership, believing the time has come for change.
The Constitution made it clear that the House has the power to regulate its proceedings. So the members of the House felt they've had enough of the Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, and today we have unanimously agreed that Right Honorable Mojisola Miranda Lasbat become the new Speaker of the House.
The 52-year-old lawmaker began his career in 1999 when he contested the seat of councillor at Agege local government under the Alliance for Democracy, and he won. He was later elected to the Lagos State House of Assembly representing Agege State Constituency 1 in 2003. He was re-elected in 2011, 2015, 2019, and 2023. With his impeachment on Monday, Mr. Obasa becomes the joint longest-serving Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, as he was first elected Speaker in 2015.
Away from the impeachment in the Lagos House of Assembly, now the President Bola Tinubu has made clear his belief that Africa has the capacity and resources to develop itself. Well, the President stated this in a tweet on the social media app X following his meeting with the President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, on the eve of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. The tweet reads, quote, "Africa has what it takes to develop itself. We have the resources, the people, and the capacity. We must look inward to improve intra-African trade and collaboration to benefit the African people and the continent. The time for Africa is now. We can, we must, we will," unquote. President Tinubu is also expected to meet with the Emirates leadership to discuss issues of interest affecting the two nations. In Oyo State, Prince Abimbola Uwade, the new Alaafin of Oyo, has received his staff of office today at the governor's office in Ibadan, the state capital, legitimizing the beginning of the reign of the new monarch. The symbolic event, which is coming nearly 3 years after the death of the former Alaafin, Lamidi Adeyemi III, holds amidst controversy concerning the choice of the new Alaafin as announced by Governor Seyi Makinde last week. According to Governor Makinde, the Alaafin stool is important not just to the Oyo town, but to the Yoruba race as a whole.
The Alaafin stool is very important, not just to Oyo town or Oyo state, but the entire Yoruba race. So, under my watch, I made it very clear that that stool is not for sale. It is not a stool for us to toy with. So the coronation proper will be in 4 weeks. The Alaafin of Ireland, His Imperial Majesty Oba Abimbola Akin Owade. I pray that your reign shall bring unity to Yoruba race, wherever they may be around the world. I pray it will also bring progress, development to Oyo land and Oyo state and Yoruba.
In part two, after the break, terrorists kill 40 farmers in an attack on the Dumba community in Borno State. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Lagos State House of Assembly impeaches Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, swears in its first female Speaker, Mojisola Miranda. National Assembly threatens to remove JAM from the federal government's 2025 budget grant. Oyo High Court grants bail to 3 suspects remanded over a food queue stampede. And officials say at least 24 people have died while dozens are missing in the aftermath of the Los Angeles wildfires. To the National Assembly now, and strong indications emerged today that the Senate is on the verge of holding a public hearing on the tax reform bills with the aim of presenting them for a third reading and eventual passage. This development was confirmed today following a closed-door session of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee with key government officials, including the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, the Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Zach Adedeji, are the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, and chairman of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, Mr. Mohammed Bello Shehu. Now, the Senate's ad hoc committee on tax reform, led by Senator Abamoro, was established in December last year to engage with the federal government on contentious aspects of the proposed tax legislation. I will have more on that report later. Still on the budget defense sessions from the Senate, we now head to the Green Chamber and the House of Representatives committees on customs and excise, as well as Interior, are threatening to invoke legislative powers after heads of MDAs fails to honor its invitation. The committee is investigating the operations of the Nigeria Customs Service and the management of the nation's borders. The committee, alongside the House Committee on Interior, had invited the Minister of Interior, the Controller General of Customs, the Controller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service, and other stakeholders.
It's unfortunate if we are trying to put things right that we cannot find the head of agencies. We have the most busiest people you can see at this point in time. But we created time to make sure this holds. But if the minister himself is not there, the CG is not here, Customs is not here, CG Immigration is not here. So who are we going to talk to? Because definitely you will need to still brief him. So we cannot talk to any other person apart from the head of the agencies and the minister. We will write you again and give you dates to appear, and the head of agencies must appear here, because we are not joking. This is not for us, it's for Nigerians and for the progress of the country. So if there's any stakeholder not present, we will invoke the wrath of the law and then show them that we are not joking here. This is not only about those people in the uniform. We are also talking your partners. Your partners ought to be here with you.
Well, let's head back to the Senate, and of course we told you that it is on the verge of holding a public hearing on the tax reform bills with the aim of presenting them for a third reading and its eventual passage.
Amidst the maze of meetings in continuation of the 2025 budget defense sessions, the Senate Ad Hoc Committee meets with the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, the Federal Inland Revenue Service boss, among others, over the tax reform bills.
Over here.
The meeting, chaired by the Senate Minority Leader, Senator Abamoro, immediately commences behind closed doors.
We must synthesize the whole processes to ensure that at the end of the day, we give to Nigerians what Nigerians want, and that is a law that serves the purpose of all Nigerians. So that is where we are now, and hopefully by the time we meet again, we'll finalize and we'll have some better story to tell you.
They have the program they are running and they are on track actually to pass the bills as proposed, and then with the amendment and consultation. So it is normal process that they are going.
Separately, a joint committee on finance meets various officials from the ministries, departments and agencies probing the 2024 and 2025 budget implementation plan. In a no-holds-barred session, the lawmakers dug into the submissions from the JAMB registrar. Professor Oluede revealed that JAMB remitted 4 billion naira to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, but received 6 billion naira from the federal government in 2024. This prompted committee members to question the rationale behind funding a self-sustaining agency with government grants.
Remittance, operation surplus, remittance to CRF is 4 billion naira.
We take your 6 billion and we take your 4 billion, which you wanted to release, and save yourself and pay your salaries. Give you what your business knows.
Following a general dissatisfaction, the lawmakers threatened to cut the federal government's yearly grant to the board. It was apparently a bad day for the JAMB boss as he appeared again before the TET Fund Committee, where more dissatisfaction was expressed over the board's spendings.
What are the details of what you have expended
in capital expenditure. What are the details? And what about the approval? If you don't have it, it means that you have to go back because the budget is not well presented.
We are sorry if our misinterpretation, we misinterpret it. Going forward, that's why, just as we are presenting it now, please kindly consider it, sir.
Elsewhere, the Minister of Power appeared before the Senate Committee on Power, revealing plans to allocate 200 billion naira towards powering up the highways, resolving the TCN challenge and installation of CCTV cameras.
We intend to collaborate to ensure that our highways are powered for security and safety. And we intend to use a couple of locations as pilots across the 6 geopolitical zones this year to ensure that we have street lighting, and not just street lighting, we have at intervals CCTV, closed circuit television.
And the budget defense sessions have apparently gained momentum, with more ministries, departments and agencies appearing before joint committees and Senate committees here in the National Assembly. As a matter of fact, it is expected that plenary will be suspended upon resumption on Tuesday for the sessions to continue seamlessly.
To the courts now, and Oyo State High Court has granted bail to the 3 accused persons standing trial for the Ibadan stampede that claimed 35 lives last December at Basharon Islamic High School in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The bail applications filed by the ex-wife of the Oni of Ife, Naomi Shilekwala, Mr. Oriyomi Hamzat, and the principal of Islamic High School, Basharon Abdullahi Fasasi, has been granted by the court. The ruling was pronounced by Justice Kamoruddin Olawayin of Court 8, Oyo State High Court, after hearing bail applications from the defense lawyers of the 3 accused, even as Justice Olawayin said the bail with 10 million naira each with sureties of the same amount. Our correspondent, Bukola Urewu, reports.
Both the Magistrate Court and the High Court were today busy with a case involving Naomi Shilekwala, Oriyomi Hamzat and Abdullahi Fasasi, who are all standing trial over the Ibadan stampede that claimed 35 lives of minors. At the Magistrate Court, the accused persons were not present in court, though counsels have argued earlier that the Magistrate Court lacks jurisdiction to hear the case.
The formal charge, the 4-count charge that were preferred against them initially, we actually challenged the fact that the court has no jurisdiction. It was more of an holding charge. But now that the legal advice has been released, implicating the three defendants have to appear before the court, and the appeal will be taken formally. But because they were not around today, the court asked for a date, and we have taken the matter to the 27th of January.
At the High Court, supporters and sympathizers of the accused persons who thronged the court were jubilant as the prayers of the defense counsels were granted. The defendants were granted bail despite the opposition to the request by prosecuting counsel led by the Attorney General of the state. The counsel to Oriyomi Hamzat, one of the accused persons, spoke to newsmen after the ruling.
The court delivered a ruling on the bail application filed on behalf of Alhaji Oriyomi Hamzat, and in that well-considered ruling, the court granted his application for bail, which means Oriyomi Hamzat has been directed to be released by the prison custody on bail, and the court also stated the conditions for the bail.
He adds that he's yet to receive the new charge sheet containing 18 counts, and adds that no official document to that effect has been sent to his office for his client, noting that he only heard of the move on social media.
We read it on social media just the way you read it. As far as I'm concerned, I've not been given any formal charges filed by the state.
The accused persons are facing a 4-count charge, including negligence, criminal conspiracy, and acceleration of death in connection to a tragic stampede at Islamic High School, Basharon, Ibadan, during a children's fun fair that claimed the lives of 35 minors. Hearing on the case has been adjourned to 27th January. Bukola Urewu, Channels Television News.
Talking security, and terrorists have killed 40 farmers in an attack on the Dumba community near Baga in Kukawa local government of Borno State. The Borno State Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Professor Usman Tar, says initial reports indicate the farmers strayed outside the security corridors set up by the military, venturing into an area known for insurgent activity and strewn with landmines. He adds the security forces are looking for any farmers who had escaped the attack. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has condemned the attack in strong terms and has asked officers and men of Operation Hiding Kai to track and obliterate the insurgent elements that are operating at Dumba and other similar enclaves in the Lake Chad area. He said the attack will be investigated and asked farmers and fishermen in the area to operate within the safe corridors demarcated by the military. Still ahead on the news at 10, global oil prices surge past $81 amid new U.S. sanctions on Russia's oil industry. That's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. The Edo Election Petition Tribunal has adjourned till Wednesday, January the 15th this year, hearing on all petitions challenging the result of the September the 21st, 2024 governorship election in Edo State, where Monday Okwerolo of the All Progressives Congress was declared winner. The first and second respondents, the Independent National Electoral Commission, the All Progressives Congress, the APC, had filed an appeal for adjournment to attend to a Supreme Court matter coming up on Tuesday, January the 14th. Now, the chairman of the tribunal, Justice Wilfred Pochi, granted the request for adjournment on all petitions till Wednesday, January the 15th, as all counsels involved in the matter agreed to the new date. The legal advisor of the APC, Edo State, Stephen Okoro, stressed that the appeal was necessary as the Supreme Court case was set for definite hearing. Let's now head to the nation's capital, and Gloria Umezoke is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Gloria. Over to you.
Thank you, Ayo. The Federal Capital Territory Administration says henceforth persons arrested for vandalization of national assets in the nation's capital will be charged to court for attempted murder or economic sabotage. The FCT Commissioner of Police, Mr. Olatunji Disu, made this disclosure today while briefing the media after the first FCT security meeting for the year, chaired by the FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike. The meeting also resolved to ban the activities of scavengers in the city center, as well as the closure of scrap markets for 2 weeks. Our correspondent, Kumbi Abuduwade, reports.
It's the first security meeting for the year, and heads of security agencies in the Federal Capital Territory are present as the FCT Minister chairs the meeting. However, the meeting resolves into a closed-door session and then reconvenes after about 2 hours. The FCT Commissioner of Police then proceeds to brief the press on the outcome of the meeting.
Everybody arrested for vandalizing public infrastructure will be charged to court. Not only will they be charged to court, they will be charged to court for economic sabotage. Even at times, if possible, attempted murder or murder. At the same time, it has been decided that activities of all quantitas have been banned for 2 weeks. So they will be banned for 2 weeks, in effect from tomorrow, and we are going to profile them.
He also speaks on the activities of criminal operation as commercial drivers within the metropolis.
Last year, a lot of them have been arrested. As I speak with you, about 21 of their vehicles have been recovered. They are still there for you to see. And what we notice more is that almost all the vehicles recovered from these operators of one chance were tinted.
According to Section 469A of the Nigerian Criminal Code, a person who willfully or unlawfully destroys or damages a public facility with intent to cause major disruption to government functions or major disruption to the use of services by the public or major economic loss is liable to 25 years imprisonment. Also, Section 320 of the Criminal Code Act says anyone who attempts to unlawfully kill another person or does an act that endangers human life is guilty of a felony and is liable to life imprisonment. However, the Penal Code doesn't explicitly state the penalty for both attempted murder and economic sabotage. These provisions provide a guide for the FCT administration to prosecute those found culpable of damaging public assets. Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
The embattled National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Samuel Anyanwu, resumed office at the party's national headquarters in Abuja, in spite of the party's earlier position to abide by the appeal court's judgment, which recognizes the former national youth leader, Mr. Ude Okoye, as the national secretary. The contest for the office of the PDP National Secretary started after Mr. Anyanwu stepped aside to contest the Imo State governorship election in November last year. Upon his return from the exercise, which he lost to the incumbent, Governor Hope Uzodimma, the Southeast caucus of the party went to court to challenge his return as the PDP National Secretary and to ask the courts to instead replace him with Mr. Ude Okoye, the former PDP National Youth Leader. Although the High Court and the Appellate Court ruled in favor of the Southeast caucus and their candidate, Mr. Anyanwu says he has appealed the judgment of the appeal court and remains as the national secretary until the apex court says otherwise. Staying with politics, a Port Harcourt division of the Rivers State High Court has barred the Rivers State executives of the People's Democratic Party, led by Mr. Aaron Chukwemeka, from parading themselves as executives of the party in the state. This order was contained in a ruling on an interlocutory injunction delivered by Presiding Judge Justice Stephen Jambo. The case was filed by two Port Harcourt-based legal practitioners, Edwin Woko, Lab Otwange, and two others who are members of the PDP against the party's national chairman, state's chairman, and 9 others. They prayed the courts to declare null and void the purported PDP local government and ward congresses conducted in the 319 wards and 23 local government areas by pro-Wike supporters on July 27, 10th August, and August 31 last year. The applicants had contended that all the congresses were done in disobedience to an order of the Rivers State High Court issued on July 16, 2024, stopping the PDP, INEC, as well as their agents from conducting congresses pending the hearing and determination of the originating summons already filed. This ruling is coming on the heels of a similar decision last year, which also nullified the ward, local government, and state executives of All Progressives Congress, which had produced Mr. Tony Okocha. And now the Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodimma, has described the removal of fuel subsidy as a blessing to states and sub-nationals, stating that it has increased revenue allocation to states, which gives room for state governors to initiate meaningful projects that has direct impact on citizens. He notes that additional funds are helping bridge infrastructure gaps, is reflected in Imo State's 2025 fiscal budget, which allocates 82% to capital expenditure. The governor stated this while inspecting several ongoing projects ahead of his 1-year anniversary in office for his second tenure. Our Imo State correspondent, Itope Kutei, reports.
15th January 2024, Governor Hope Uzodimma is re-elected into office for the second time, and in a few days' time, he will mark his 1 year in office. Ahead of the day, Governor Hope Uzodimma is on site at several major infrastructure projects in Imo State, reaffirming his administration's commitment to completing all ongoing works, which he says directly impacts on the citizens of the state. Among the projects inspected at the Emmanuel Iwayam Convention Center, the control flyover, the Ellen Salif Johnson Road, and the works layout erosion control site. The governor also visits Pibat Road, the Imo Digital City, also known as the Imo Silicon Valley, and the Chukuma Unwa Aladima Road. Governor Uzodimma emphasizes the positive impact of the increased revenue from the removal of fuel subsidy, describing it as a critical enabler for the state's infrastructure drive.
In reconciling the negative effects of subsidy removal and the benefits in terms of social infrastructure, social benefits, and then the ease of doing business occasioned by the provision of the enabling infrastructure, also will balance. So I think it is a blessing That's direct blessing. It's not in disguise. It's a direct blessing to the subnationals because more monies are now coming to states, and state governments must do things to show the citizens that they're able to do these things because they now get more money as a result of the subsidy, fuel subsidy removal by the federal government.
He assures Imo citizens that all projects will be completed on schedule, promising a seamless execution that prioritizes the welfare and development of the state.
We have not done badly in the first 1 year of my second term, and it is my hope and prayers to Almighty God that we'll do more to get the heart of the people. Because you see, the difference is very clear. When you are working, the people know you are working. Don't expect that people must clap for you from January to December all through. Gradually, they will begin to see your vision, and gradually they will begin to buy into your vision. And that way, you have a sustainable confidence building program from your people.
Governor Uzodinma believes that this tour ahead of his 1 year in office underscores his administration's drive to foster economic growth and improve the standard of living in Imo State through robust infrastructural development.
Thank you.
Ejitopakute, Channels Television News.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's over now to Will Ibong in Lagos for business news.
Thank you, Gloria. We begin with global oil prices, which have extended gains for a third session today, with Brent rising above $81 per barrel, its highest in more than 4 years. And this comes as wider U.S. sanctions are expected to affect Russian crude exports to top buyers China and India. Brent and WTI have risen more than 6% since January the 8th, and both contracts surged after the U.S. Treasury imposed wider sanctions on Russian oil on Friday. The new sanctions include producers Gazprom Neft and surrogate Neftgas, as well as 183 vessels that have shipped Russian oil, targeting the revenue Moscow has used to fund its war with Ukraine. Now, the federal government has launched the Technology Export and Digital Trade Desk to attract more investments into Nigeria's tech sector and increase startup funding to $5 billion annually. The initiative, announced by Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Mr. Bosun Tijani, is a collaboration with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. The Trade Desk aims to help local tech companies compete globally by promoting Nigerian technology exports, and the goal is to raise the tech sector's contribution to Nigeria's GDP from 14% to 21% within 3 years. Mr. Tijani says the initiative also aligns with the country's efforts to improve its ranking in the Economic Complexity Index, ECI. Now we check in with the global asset management firm, Meristem Securities, which has projected that the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria may maintain a hold stance in its interest rate for most of the year. And in its 2025 full-year outlook, the company explains that a shift to a more dovish position may occur in the final quarter of the year, while the possibility of an additional 100 basis points hike in the monetary policy rate MPR cannot be ruled out during the period. As of December 2024, the CBN's MPR was 27.5% after it had raised it by over 800 basis points as the financial market regulator maintained a hawkish position to tackle inflation. The move of the CBN to hike rates in the outgoing year had been anticipated by market watchers, especially in light of the rising inflation. I'll check in with the domestic stock market now, which resumed the new week, bouncing off last week's negative sentiments. Ladi Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. Well, the local bourse kicked off the second full trading week of 2025 and January with a mild 8 basis points drop, 105,367 units for the all-share index, with the market cap sitting about over $40 billion. Let's look at the performance there. See the trading activity, just deals in the green, more than what we had on Friday, 14,259. Showing investor sentiment there with all of those deals, but we see value is lower with volume lower than what we had on Friday. Let's look at the top gainers now. We see Cap PLC topping the counter today, 41 naira 80 kobo for the close, up 10%. Nimes is also on the gainers chart there, 9.96% gain, but that wasn't enough to flip the market into positive territory with the likes of FBNH there shedding over 1% in the share price. So we see most of those tier 1 and tier 2 banks dropping, pulling the market down. Definitely we'll be looking out to see if the bearish sentiment continues this week as it starts, but today the bears have it.
And that's the wrap on business. It's back to Ayotine for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. Let's now join Simon Pearson with our international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
LA fire crews are still battling 3 blazes as some schools in the city are set to reopen. It comes as weather forecasters are warning the strong winds which fueled the infernos last week are expected to pick up again. Strong winds peaking at 70 miles per hour on Tuesday could cause explosive fire growth, the NWS warns. The number of people killed has also risen to 24, and officials warn that the fire threat is not over.
Elevated critical fire weather conditions will continue through Wednesday. Please rest assured that your County of Los Angeles Fire Department will be prepared. These winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in all of Los Angeles County very high. And finally, to all residents, please be assured that we will continue to be here for you until the last fire is completely extinguished.
The US President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have spoken by phone in Biden's final week in office as momentum builds towards a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. Israel and Hamas are understood to be making progress, but uncertainty remains over key aspects of the potential agreement.
We also discussed.
Meanwhile, the Israeli foreign minister said during a press briefing in Jerusalem that there had been progress in negotiating a hostage release deal.
I told the minister that progress was made. We see some progress in the negotiations. Israel wants a hostage deal. Israel is working with our American friends in order to achieve a hostage deal, and soon we will know whether the other side wants the same thing.
At least 10 people have died after landslides swept through 2 cities in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais. The Bethania neighborhood in the city of Patinga was the worst affected by the mudslides, which were triggered by torrential rain. The mayor's office said that 8 inches of rain fell in Ipatanga. Landslides following torrential rains are not uncommon in the rainy season, with neighborhoods precariously built on steep hillsides the worst hit. The army in Sudan has captured a key central city, one of its biggest gains yet in an almost 2-year-long war against rebel forces. Footage on social media showed people celebrating in the streets as army soldiers entered the city of Wad Medani. The leader of the paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, General Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, also known as Hamedeti, acknowledged the loss in an audio message. But he vowed to continue fighting until victory, even if it took another 20 years. A South Korean lawmaker says around 300 North Korean troops deployed to Russia have been killed, with another 2,700 injured in combat against Ukrainian forces. Lee Seong-kun had been briefed by the country's spy agency. The rising number of casualties have been attributed to a lack of understanding of modern warfare and the way Russia uses the North Korean military. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is willing to hand over 2 captured North Korean soldiers to Pyongyang in exchange for Ukrainian prisoners of war in Russia. The launch of a huge, partially reusable rocket built by Jeff Bezos' company has been called off after hours of delays. The 98-meter rocket, called New Glenn, is around as tall as Big Ben. It is set to carry up to 45 tons of tech to low Earth orbit. However, the team at Blue Origin, Amazon founder Mr. Bezos' space technology company, confirmed this morning that the launch was called off. The decision came following a series of delays due to unspecified issues. And a new £2 coin honouring the literary author George Orwell has been released by Britain's Royal Mint. Marking the 75th anniversary of the author's death, the reverse design pays tribute to one of his most famous novels, 1984. The coin depicts what appears to be an eye on one side, but is in fact a camera lens at the centre. Since its introduction to the definitive coinage of the United Kingdom in 1998, the £2 coin has seen over 50 reverse designs, including coins commemorating other literary figures, including William Shakespeare, Jane Austen, and J.R.R. Tolkien.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Nigerian Football Federation has officially unveiled Eric Shell as the head coach of the Super Eagles at the unveiling ceremony held earlier today at the media conference room of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. The 47-year-old has been tasked with reviving Nigeria's forthcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign, as the 3-time African champions are currently in 5th place in Group C with 3 points from 4 matches and are yet to secure a victory in the qualifiers.
For the manager and stuff like that, Eric took a huge pay cut to be here. So it's not really about having the money. It's about just the passion and to get the process to be delivered. Otherwise, he could have stayed comfortably where he was, because he's being paid almost double what we are paying him here to get him to do his job.
We want somebody that understands the mentality of African football. And Eric is here, and by the grace of God, he is going to give us the results. So the only thing I want from all of us, football stakeholders in Nigeria, let us rally around Eric and give him all the support he needed.
I jumped at this opportunity to coach the most black populace in the world. For me, the best nation in Africa. I believe Super Eagles will have chance to qualify World Cup. I believe it.
That's sports. It's back to you, Ayo.
Many thanks, Chris. And the main news again. The Lagos State House of Assembly has impeached Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, with Mojisola Miranda now sworn in as the first female Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. That's news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. You have a good night.